Welcome to Series 2 of the Earth Your Wild podcast, the podcast where we talk about how to make your business more sustainable. I'm Jack.
And I'm Ellie. We had so much fun making the last series that we thought we'd come back for another one. How did you get on with the last series, Jack?
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. I really enjoyed speaking to other businesses in the community and hearing stories, especially businesses bigger than us and businesses smaller than us.
Yeah, who was your favourite guest?
My favourite was Phil from Phil Refill, because he's got a cool business, hasn't he? And he's a cool guy, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I enjoyed speaking to Andy Hawkins. He's a bee leader.
He wears great shirts.
He does wear great shirts. He also talked about how he helps companies to become B Corp certified. Mm-hmm. We also had a great chat with Tim Maiden, who helps businesses measure and reduce their environmental footprints.
He's the smartest person I've ever met.
Yeah. And yeah, we also talked to some great business owners. Rebecca Kimber from Create. That was really interesting. She talked about how to reduce the footprint of your website, which is something that a lot of people don't consider or don't often consider.
Okay, so since the first series has finished, we have actually become a B Corp. It was your project, so why don't you tell us about what that process was like and what it means to you?
So yeah, it took maybe about 14 months for us to complete, and we actually did it with the help of Andy Hawkins, who we talked with on the last series of this podcast. Andy's a bee leader and just gives like a bit of extra support to businesses undertaking the bee impact assessment. But yeah, I think it was actually a really enjoyable experience, and I think as a company we've grown a lot through doing it. It's taught us a lot. It's helped us evolve in a lot of ways. And being a B Corp means we've joined this community of other incredible businesses who all choose to use business as a force for good.
I think there has been a little bit of bad press around B Corp recently, and I've certainly spoken to people that have been a little bit negative about it. But from my perspective, I think it's been really, really powerful for a small business because, firstly, we're small, we want to grow, we want to engage with bigger and more companies, and having a trust badge and accreditation really helps. But secondly, I found that it gave us like a framework. It gives us like a framework to actually build a better business. It helped us manage people better, helped us do, feedback sessions better with our staff. And it definitely helped us kind of align people's purpose.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess if you're a bigger company or, I guess if you've already addressed a lot of these things, such as, staff well-being, getting all your governance in order, perhaps B Corp might not be something you need to look at. But for us, it really helped us get all of our ducks in a row. I think there's another side of it, though, that's, we actually had to make that legal change where we had to change our articles of association to include consideration to all stakeholders in our decision making. So what this means is that we are now legally required to consider, our employees, our community, and the planet in every decision we make. And I think that's a big deal. And I think it's really important because it cements that throughout the company, through every decision you make. With your point about bad press, I think, I don't know, I haven't really experienced that. I think you're always going to get the odd company that maybe doesn't follow the rules as such. I mean, if you take Brewdog, for instance, they actually lost their B Corp certification or decided it wasn't for them. But, I think you're always going to get companies like that. It's never going to be a one size fits all approach. And I think another great thing about B Corp is it puts you in this community of other like-minded businesses. I think that's been great for us.
Yeah, I noticed since we got the accreditation, there's been quite a lot of businesses reaching out to us who are thinking about going on the journey and becoming a B Corp, or maybe they just want to learn more about it. And what I've noticed is, especially with small businesses, but even with bigger organizations that I've been speaking to, a lot of people running them, they're kind of like, oh, we should probably do something about our impact, and they don't really know what to do. And I always say to people, well, this is great because here's an organization, and they've built a simple framework for you to follow, to start looking at your impact and addressing it. And I think that's good because I think it's easy to waste time and money on all sorts of random initiatives. So yeah, whenever I speak to anyone, I say, do it, become a B Corp. Even if you're not trying to reduce your impact, if you've got a small business and you want to make it a bit bigger, just do it for the framework to try and have a stronger team and a
remember
business.
It's people and planet, isn't it? So it looks at every sector of your company. You're assessed on your, so there's 5 sections: governance, workers, community, environment, and customers. I think the framework might be changing soon if it hasn't already, but that it really does rigorously assess you throughout every part of your company. And I think that's a really great thing. Like you said, it's not just and it's some kind of environmental certification. It looks at you as an overall business, and it's ongoing as well. Just because we've got the B Corp certification, this isn't just like, yep, tick that box and walk away from it. This is something now that I look at constantly. Every month I'm looking at, what can we improve in this section? What do we need to work on next?
That's interesting. I think the continual improvement aspect is good as well for businesses, because you need to be developing. If you've got a company and you want to just at least survive, let alone thrive, you need to be constantly developing and finding new things to do. I did find that kind of the way I see it when I speak to different businesses every day is I feel like a lot of leaders or the people running businesses, they kind of think, okay, this is great. We want to reduce our impact. They might be a plastics manufacturer, or they might be a food company, but they think I want to find a way to reduce my impact. And I noticed it's quite a struggle to get your staff on board with that, and to get people to understand, like, what are we going to do and how. And again, I think having a simple framework to follow, and it's almost like a story to bring with bring to your staff and say, we want to be part of this movement because we want to stand for these principles. I think it's an effective way to do that.
I think a lot of that comes down to culture as well. But this definitely helps cement that. I think if you can get this across to your team, and obviously you have to get your team on board. This is a whole company thing. This isn't just something that one person or a team in your company can do. This is something that has to be kind of woven into the fabric of your company.
I think that's the thing, because I think most businesses out there in society, they're not impact companies. And people didn't create their businesses maybe to be an environmental company or to have a positive impact. They created them out of necessity or because they wanted to have a business. And but I think obviously we're starting to go through a bit of a transition where every company actually does have to look at their impact, and every company in a way does have to try and be an environmental company. And I think that's the challenge, is trying to get from here to here. Is hard, and trying to get all your staff on board, especially if you've got a small business, because in small businesses you typically get people, they just turn up because they need a job, and they don't turn up with a purpose.
I mean, I think there are loads of benefits though to even smaller businesses during this process. I mean, one of the things that we've found is that it's helped us attract great employees as well, and helped us keep good employees. Because I think, everybody comes to work to earn money, but I think it's definitely true that the younger generation are now looking for more purpose in their jobs.
I think people are starting to demand more from the brands that they buy from and advocate for, and I think businesses are starting to understand that. But we're finding, the better people in society, the better talent pool for a business, they want to work for those kinds of companies, and they see that trust badge, which might appear superficial to some people, but they see that trust badge and they think, this could be a great place to work because it stands for these principles. So I think it's been a really powerful thing for our little business, and what were the negatives of becoming a B Corp? There must have been some negatives for you.
I mean, it was quite time consuming. So there was obviously a lot of paperwork involved.
I tried to delegate as much to you as possible.
Right, yeah, thanks.
Leadership skills.
I think, again, though, that probably depends on the company.
It's funny because I'm actually, like I said, I speak to businesses every day, and a lot of them are thinking about this or trying to do it. And whenever I'm in that situation and I speak to the person that's doing it, they're telling me about all the headaches they've got and the stress.
I mean, to be fair, it's not so much like you have to do this paperwork for B Corp.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like this is so you have to the first step is to go online and fill in the B impact assessment, and it's a set of questions, and then you obviously want to start gathering your evidence, to show how you've answered these questions. There's about 200 questions, and this evidence is really just what you should have anyway for your business. So, for example, you'll have all your different policies for things. You'll have environmental tracking in that area. You'll send out surveys to your suppliers or your customers, and a lot of this stuff is just stuff you should be doing as a company anyway. So, as we're quite small, we were doing a lot of great things, but we just hadn't quite got our paperwork up to date and in line with a lot of these things, or we weren't doing them regularly. And so it took a big amount of time to kind of get us up to date and get it all sorted. But, as long as you keep on top of it going forward, it's not such a big headache. So I think that initial bit is hard, but because it's really your business that you're doing this for, it definitely improves the running of your business, and it makes you a better business having gone through that. You definitely rather have all your ducks in a line and have everything sorted out rather than just carry on haphazardly as you are.
It's good practice. And there's some great businesses part of the B Corp community as well.
I think so. At this time, there are around 1,400 B Corps in the UK, I think. I think they're hoping to get to 1,500 soon. I can't remember how many globally there are. It's something like 6,000 or 7,000 maybe. But there's some great companies such as Patagonia.
That's a cool business.
Innocent, Ben and Jerry's.
Reuseabox.
Pucker. The tea bags. Reuseabox, obviously.
Everybody's favourite.
There's some really great companies, and I think that's one of the greatest things, being part of that community, which we've already mentioned.
We've also had the pleasure of dealing with some other B Corp businesses, and I definitely noticed that you said it to me actually, like when we've had meetings with them, and there's a very positive, like, how can we help? How can we work together kind of undertone to the meetings? And I think that's a delight, isn't it? To be in that
they do. There
arena.
is a stat somewhere that says companies who are B Corps do perform better and do achieve more than standard companies. And I don't know whether that's a combination of things. I definitely think the community must help.
Well, it's an investment in your business, isn't it? And it's a significant investment, really, because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to run a business properly and to invest in people, and to invest in the planet is something that you don't actually have to do as a business. So I think when you get companies that have spent time doing that, they really care about their company and their organisation and their product, and they care about their customers. And that's probably why it's probably not the B Corp certification that does it. It's just the fact that these good quality business people and good quality companies want to be part of this accreditation because it stands for something. So if you're thinking of becoming a B Corp, sign up.
And another great thing we've done recently is we've joined 1% for the Planet.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
1% of our revenue, which is a huge commitment for any business. 1% of our total sales, we now reinvest into environmental and social projects. You could say donate, but I like to think of it as reinvest. because I think we're doing something good with the money, and obviously it's something good for the planet. Well, do you want to explain what we're investing in?
No, so as members of 1%, like you said, it also means that our charitable giving will now be certified, and it ensures that our donations are invested in the smartest of ways. And I think that's a really great thing, because when we initially thought, it'd be great to start giving back, and it would be great to start planting trees, this kind of thing. It was really hard to decide what kind of charity we should support. Should we do a UK-based one? Should we do one abroad? How do we know which is the best one?
How do you know which one's using the money most efficiently and doing a good thing for it? And unfortunately, there are probably more organisations out there that are not doing such a good job with your money, and maybe not funding as positive projects than.
Well, I don't know, but the great thing about 1% is that it does certify that giving, and it ensures that it goes to the places where it's most needed. So through that, we found our partners Eden Reforestation Projects, and we are currently planting trees through that organisation. So far, we've planted 78,000 trees, or just over. But we are planning to plant 1 million by 2030.
Yeah, well, at this rate, we'll probably get there ahead of schedule, I think.
It's pretty early days, and we've already planted nearly 100,000. So that's really exciting.
And I think for us, because there's lots of stuff. Obviously, there's only a small amount of money that we have available to donate, and there's lots of great organisations out there. But I was really impressed with Eden. Actually, I loved hearing about the social impact that it has. I think for us, reforestation is probably an important thing to try and support, because obviously what we do, cardboard boxes, is obviously having a negative impact on the environment. It is causing deforestation, and planting trees. I think is probably still one of the best methods we have for drawing carbon out of the atmosphere, and it's it was so nice to hear about. They were talking about the in areas of Africa. Where is it? Where we're planting?
So we plant trees in Kenya, I think, Malaysia at the moment. 2 projects there.
So they were saying, like, in certain areas, you've got these are the areas that are worse affected by climate change, and where they've had in some instances, the ecosystems have started to collapse. Some of those areas, and this is where not only are they tree planting, but you've got whole communities that have developed around the tree planting work. You've got tens of thousands of people that now have jobs, and these are people that maybe never had jobs in the first people in their families to ever have jobs and have disposable incomes and access to healthcare and education, and it was nice to hear that you've got little businesses sprouting up with this community around reforestation. So for me, I just thought, wow, this is brilliant. We actually get to address the problem with our industry. We actually get to try and attack that and have a positive impact. And then the wider social thing. Yeah. I just think it's cool.
And I think also by empowering those communities, their job is to look after those trees and ensure that they survive. There is a much higher chance of those trees surviving, because obviously a huge worry with tree planting projects is that the trees don't survive, and that is obviously a concern. I think, tree planting is great everywhere, but you obviously have to make sure you plant the right trees in the right locations, and they get looked after. I know, like, if you can compare it to the UK, a lot of the projects going on, you tend to get a lot of corporate volunteering days where you get, you can go and plant trees, and it's all great fun, and you can go and have your picture taken, but what happens after you've had your picture taken next to your newly planted tree? You'd hope, and I'm sure in the vast majority of cases they are looked after, but I think when it's somebody's full-time job to ensure these trees are looked after and maintained, and they're on site and they're there, I think they have a much higher chance of survival.
Yeah, and tree planting, that sort of a thing that, there are some negative things said about it as well. Like it almost has a bit of a bad rep at the moment. A lot of people think it's starting to get a bit of a reputation of being a bit greenwashy even. fact, it would be pretty cool to try and get somebody on from some of those organisations on the podcast to try and talk about it in a bit more detail.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what happens in over the next series. But it would be very interesting. I think ultimately, at the moment, our best solution to try and draw down carbon from the atmosphere is through trees. Obviously, it's better to protect existing ancient forests rather than plant new ones. But when you think about how high deforestation rates are, we lose, billions of trees every year. I can't remember the stat now.
3 billion.
3 billion. I think that's just for the packaging industry, isn't it?
For the paper industry.
Yeah, so, when you think about what we cut for everything, what we use for everything else, it's so high that we have to start putting those trees back. We can't just say, well, we can't just forget about it. It's got to be. Yeah. It needs investing in.
Okay, so 1% for the planet. Is 1% enough? That obviously I mentioned to you, I had a large corporate client, and I told them that if they worked with us, some of the revenue that we're generating is funding these projects. And I told them it's 1%, and they said, "Oh, well, that's not much, is it?"
Yeah, I guess it doesn't sound like much when you say 1%.
I think it's a huge commitment for any business, is my opinion. I would love to be able to fund more, and I hope that we can, and I think we can. As an organisation.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, I think the whole reason 1% for the planet was set up was, so I think one of the founding partners was the founder of Patagonia, and another person, I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but the reason they did it was that they wanted to help companies make a commitment to environmental giving. So, in the past, I think Patagonia started off by giving, say, a large percentage of their profits. So that they might have given, say, 50% of their profits to environmental charities. And, that sounds great, doesn't it? What they found was that other companies would make a similar promise, and they would say, we're also giving 50% of our profits. But what we know about profit is that you can manipulate those figures. Okay.
It's a bit academic,
so
isn't it,
you can
sometimes?
say, I've hardly made any profit this year. So we've not been able to give much money. Whereas when you give 1% of sales revenue, there's almost nowhere to hide. You can't manipulate those figures, and so it's actually a much bigger commitment. We still have to give 1% of our sales revenue, even if we don't make a profit. And that's even if we make a loss. That's huge, isn't it? That's a huge commitment. So I completely disagree with anyone who says it's not a big commitment.
Yeah, it is smart, actually. And again, a bit like with the B Corp thing, it's like having that trust badge, like having that trust badge behind you, I think means a lot more than just a brand saying that they're giving some money towards some good causes.
Well, it shows that we're serious about giving back to the planet. And for us, being part of it shows that, we can find partners to give out our money to, and we know that they're going to do the right things with the money. We know that it's not just going to get, wasted. Yeah,
and again, a bit like the B Corp thing, I think again, it can be quite hard if you're a company and you want to start donating some money to charity or trying to fund good causes. It can again be a bit of a minefield knowing where do you go and how do you know whether how much money goes to fund this, how much doesn't. And again, with 1%, I did feel like it was a nice, easy way for us to do that and know that we are funding good projects and working with reputable companies.
Okay, so what do you see the next steps now for Reuseabox?
Yeah, I think the future for us is about collaboration. And over the last year, 18 months, we really have moved away from being a box company, like all the other box companies that sells businesses cardboard boxes, to becoming more of a community project. And I think it's a really important part of addressing climate change. Is going to be around businesses working together to use society's resources more efficiently. And in our own little way, we can have a big impact. So we've got thousands of businesses now that we work with. And I think trying to bring them together, trying to collaborate and trying to expand that really trying to make this a force for good. And I think every business should do that, regardless of whether you're an impact company, whether you're an environmental company, whatever you do. Who doesn't want to talk to your neighbour and work together and be more efficient? I always think it's stupid how I feel like when we go to school these days, like, or when we, I feel like the education system it teaches us, conditions us to like sit down and, look at the board, don't talk to your neighbour, speak when spoken to kind of thing. And I actually think it's really dumb. And I think a lot of business owners run their business like that. They hate their competitor. They don't talk to them. They don't collaborate. I think that's the future,
Yeah, definitely. I think it's exciting. And I think, working together, we're so much stronger, especially from a small business perspective. Alone you can achieve a little, but together, you can do so much more.
When you do it well, like the result is greater than the sum of its parts. And also, like, we've started to do this now and it's working, but we're actually having fun with it.
Yeah.
I think so many people, it's easy to fall into the trap of going to work and getting stuck in that 9-to-5 grind and not having fun. And, if you actually take time to listen to people and work together and be inquisitive, we can have fun, like on this podcast, the funnest podcast on Spotify. So remember to subscribe.
And anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
So are you excited about all the guests we've got coming
on?
I'm
so excited. I'm so excited. Who have we got coming on?
Don't give it away.
We're not giving it away.
It's a surprise.
I'm very excited about the surprise guest.
So yeah, people will have to stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We'll be putting out an episode every week. It's going to be the highlight of your week, better than all the other podcasts. Remember to subscribe, and we hope this has been Earth Your While.
And if you want to find out some more, check out reuseabox.co.uk/Earth Your While.
Yes.